Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year once again. It's time to take a look at No More Room in Hell 2 to see how much this game has changed since my last video. And I gotta be honest, I'm pretty hopeful to see the current state of the game. When I last checked it, things were looking extremely promising as the game reached a huge peak that summer. Features that were seen in the previous title were being rolled out, new maps were being brought into rotation to finally make the game replayable, and most importantly, thousands of new players were jumping onto the game as Torn Banner very wisely made the game free for a weekend, which brought so much exposure to the troubled early access game. It's been around half a year since I talked about No More Room 2, and although I'm not looking for a perfect game of the year game at this stage, my hopes are very high. So without further ado, let's take a look at No More Room in Hell 2. Oh my god, I have no idea what happened behind the scenes at Torn Banner, but this game is still completely ass. No more room in hell? More like no more shit can be put into this diarrhea-infested ass water. It's so bad, it sucks. It's so fucking suck, it fucks. Sorry guys, I've been binge watching Angry Video Game Nerd, and I think he's been rubbing off on me. I cannot emphasize my frustration with this game, as every step forward Torn Banner takes, they take like 30 steps back. Since the summer, they've released around 8-ish updates, ranging from small hotfixes to major content releases. However, apart from the most obvious additions, this game feels as unfinished as when it first released in 2024. Let me go over some of the most apparent features that were added in the past few months. So since July of last year, No More Room in Hell added some character customization. When I last talked about this was incredibly one-note. Back then, the most that you could do was purchase weapons or gear to bring into matches using in-game currency that you can obtain by beating objectives and collecting supplies. But even then, the amount of things that you could buy was very bare-boned, so this feature was fairly useless. Now though, not only are there more gear that you can buy, but you can actually customize your character's build by upgrading skills or changing their look. Upgrading and even re-rolling for new skills is so useful, as you now don't have to rely on RNG for getting the best build to survive. And it gives this in-game currency that you probably have an abundance of because they were that useless beforehand a reason to be spent. Customizing the looks, on the other hand, is a feature. As of right now, the only thing that you can customize is the player's clothes, so don't expect to be able to change their body type, skin color, hair, or any other look. But I'm not gonna lie though, I don't think I've cared once enough to change how I look, as currently the apparel is either bland or so broken that it clips through other pieces of clothing. Not to mention, the very few pieces of clothing that you can change still makes your characters look very similar to one another. But I guess changing the color of your gear is cool. It's neat to have the ability to change your pants into whatever color you want, though this feature was just never at the top of my list of what should be added into this broken mess of a game. Plus, changing your look in a first-person game like this isn't needed, as people don't really see your character that. Oh my god, what is that? Dude, I cannot tell if this texture is bugged out or if the devs don't know what a black eye looks like, but this character looks so uncanny. You know this texture is bad when games like Madden 23 have better models than whatever this is supposed to be. Alright, so character customization isn't all there yet, but let's see what else Torn Banner has added recently. Well, they changed around the combat quite a bit. Overall, combat feels slower to try to match the first game. Attacking with melee weapons requires more of a methodical approach, as there's a longer build up to actually swinging your weapon. There's also some new zombie types like the Undead Soldier, which can tank more hits. With changes like these, you can easily get overwhelmed by zombies if you're not careful enough, especially in the harder difficulties. In turn though, there are new ways to actually take on these walking corpses. Throwing weapons is a new feature that, on paper, can help create space between you and the zombies. In execution though, this feature low-key sucks, and I don't think I've unironically used this once. It doesn't do enough damage to kill them or even stun them for a good amount of time, plus what's the point of potentially losing your weapon for good? This isn't Dying Light, what are we doing here? On top of the combat changes, Torn Banner has finally fixed the leg meta. Now you can't use something like a leaf trimmer to cut the legs off of some zombies, which makes them easy targets to avoid. Instead, it takes about 2 to 3 hits to knock them down, which severely affects your efficiency to clear out hordes. Plus, if you cut the legs of a runner zombie, they become fast crawlers, so you're not even safe if you keep up with this meta. It's so good to see metas like this get patched up. Using a cheap way to beat this game is just so lame, and I'm just happy to not see this anymore. And okay, well maybe this meta isn't so apparent nowadays. Oh, why the fuck were these changes so highlighted by the team if the meta they tried to patch is still happening? Alright, whatever man, combat is still a bust, but how about the new maps? Well, Torn Banner has released 3 new maps, one being a training center where you can practice the controls without running the risk of dying, which is a really good and engaging type of tutorial to add. Alongside that, there are 2 more actual maps with objectives to complete. The first new map is Broadway, and if you've ever played the first No More Room in Hell, yes, it's an homage to the beloved map. This map is fairly difficult to play as just about all the spaces here are cramped, dark, and full of zombies, pretty much the opposite of the more open worlds that the previous maps have to offer. In this version of Broadway, you and other players are tasked with collecting data from a responder team that has become zombie chow. In fact, you can even see the other team's helicopter go down as the game starts, which usually doesn't have the audio synced up with the animation. After turning on the power in the district, you then spend 3 agonizing minutes holding out in a diner to upload the data. After that, it's time to escape. Now, there are 2 ways that you can make it out of Broadway. You can either make your way through the fire station, securing the area and locking it down before going to the subway station to make it out via train. Or you can secure the hospital, cut through the movie theater, and make it over to a shopping center where you have to evacuate by helicopter. The latter method is a lot more tense, as you can only board the helicopter one at a time, meaning that it's easy to get overwhelmed. But once you're on, you're safe for good. By the way, Torn Banner has also added a rejoin feature, which is really good, especially if every single player in the match crashes at a single moment. Bro, this game is not real, I swear to God. The other new map is the hospital. This was actually teased to fans long ago, as it was put into the concept phase early on in the roadmap upon the game's release. But honestly though, I am really happy we got the other areas before this one, as the hospital is easily my least favorite map of the bunch. In this area, you infiltrate the hospital, collect some data from doctors, computers, and or corpses, clear out some gas to enter another wing of the hospital to, well, collect data, and then, you're done. Wow. So fun. These tasks are incredibly boring, as in every single map apart from the power plant, collecting data is already a thing that we've had to do. There's nothing new or revolutionary that happens within these tasks, and I think the devs have realized how monotonous collecting this data is, as the corpses within the hospital are just the same model repeated over and over again. Extraction is also very samey. You have to leave either by helicopter in the courtyard or, get this, helicopter on the roof. Wow, man, there's nothing new here. Actually, that's not even true, as there is something new here, and that is a broad daylight setting. Closest thing that we got to broad daylight was a dusk setting in Lewiston, but here you can see the entire landscape, and it makes sense to me why the other maps here were set during the night, because the models in the background are so low poly and flat out ugly. You know this is ugly when the city looks to be on par as a game that you would see on Germa's Grab That Auto 5 video. All in all, these 3 maps are mostly a hit. I like the training center, I like Broadway too. The confined spaces really make this a tense setting, plus you can genuinely watch the Night of the Living Dead movie here, so this already makes this one of the best areas in No More Room in Hell 2. But Hospital to me is not a good map in my opinion. Sure, the actual hospital part of this map looks very nice. I like how some parts of the hospital is very old and classic, and the newer parts are more renovated, but that's the only good thing I have to say about this map. I do appreciate though that new maps are being put out here. It makes the game feel less stale, as one of the biggest issues upon release was the lack of replayability. As much as I don't like the hospital, I really appreciate that more content like this is being introduced and giving a reason for players to stick around for longer. But there's one thing that I don't appreciate, something that I haven't appreciated since October 22nd, 2024, and that is the incredibly poor optimization that No More Room 2 is known for. I've sprinkled in some of the buggy features that I've encountered while getting some footage for this video, but that doesn't even live up to every single annoying bug that I've experienced on here. I've come across hit detection issues and collision issues. I shit you guys not that I streamed this game a few days ago, but the first match I played, I couldn't even hear anything as the sound effects were just non-existent for whatever ungodly reason. This game fucking sucks, bro. Oh, dude, I'm already dead.
No way you're already dead.
Dude, I got ganged up by a bunch of zombies, and
bro,
I can't even hear them.
I'm gonna run towards you, but I probably won't make it in time.
Oh my god, this sucks. I haven't even mentioned the horribly unstable frame rate that you will always experience, or the fact that these problems stretch out to every single person who has played this game no matter what type of PC or Mac you run with. It's clear by watching other videos. or by going through the countless number of support threads in the official Discord server that not a single soul will ever get to play just one match without experiencing the most annoying issues imaginable. No More Room in Hell 2 should not have been released in the state that it is currently in, and should not have been charged $30 to play, and without a shadow of a doubt should not even be considered to have a 1.0 release anytime soon. By the way, guys, this game's about to get its 1.0 release soon. About a week ago, as of making this video, Torn Banner released a blog statement about the future of this game, and in big, bold text, they have stated, 1.0 launch. All of our hard work, the countless hours that you have played, and the feedback that you have provided will culminate at our 1.0 launch. This update will be our official feature-complete version of the game. We plan on releasing post-launch/live content, more on that below. This blog isn't just an announcement of its very out-of-the-blue upcoming 1.0 release, as Torn Banner has also talked about the many huge features that are expected within the near future. One of these features, which have been heavily requested by the community, is a solo mode. This mode allows you to play the maps and game modes without being required to be in a server with other people, which is a feature that is really loved within the first game. However, playing solo will force you to play on a random character, as progression and permadeath will be disabled to prevent XP farming. This kind of gives me Star Wars Battlefront 2 vibes, the 2018 version. The one where single player was more of a side thought, as multiplayer was a huge thing that was worked on. During that time, multiplayer was really fun, engaging, and the updates made playing with other people just a blast. But over time, when the player count simmered down, there was no reason for people to mess around in the solo version, which made it die even faster. And that's how I feel about this solo mode. I understand that devs want to prevent exploitation, but this is not a game where building your character up in something like a solo mode will negatively affect any other people in a match. It also makes playing solo a one and done type of thing, as what would be the purpose of playing by yourself if you can't experience the features that playing with others have to offer? At the very least, I think it would have been beneficial if there were solo only characters, where you can build them up and still go out into maps at the risk of losing them permanently, but you still can't bring that player into multiplayer, and vice versa, of course. It's a win-win situation that avoids exploitation while also letting people not miss out on features. Another game mode that will be added is the survival mode. Just like in the previous title, the survival mode puts you and or other players into a smaller map where you have to take on an infinite amount of undead. This mode will release with multiple maps to play, however, it's not stated how many or what they will look like. I don't have much to say on this. I think this is a great addition to the game. This mode offers more things to do and to play, which is a much needed thing that No More Room 2 needs. Plus, the survival mode in the first title was really fun, and I believe it's just gonna be fun in here as well. So all in all, this is an amazing thing to add in. Other notable features that Torn Banner mentioned are an expanded customization system, where you can finally now customize all aspects of your character. They're balancing as well as adding in new skills to play with, like longer battery, quiet steps, and Mohawk. Okay. They're even moving the level cap to 100 so you can get a few more skills for your character. On top of that, new weapons are being added like the Molotov cocktail. All of these are really good features to bring into the 1.0 release. And if this was where the blog ended, I would have been somewhat content with this. But then, Torn Banner decided to add something else which just rubbed me the wrong way. In this blog post, they've stated that a character and account wipe will be imminent. That's whatever, they've done this before, and I don't mind this happening again. But to celebrate the people who have bought this game in early access, they have offered numerous customization awards depending on your level and how many nightmare wins you have. These awards range from a wannabe Teddy Fresh hoodie to badges. Torn Banner spends a good amount of time showing off these rewards while almost begging for people to grind this game in its current state to obtain them. In fact, they spend about a good third of this blog just talking about this alone. This part of the blog honestly puts a bad taste in my mouth, and I know what bad tastes in my mouth are like. I gotta rephrase that. It's one thing to show appreciation to the people who have stuck around since the game's infamous release by giving them an exclusive limited time item like the shirt, but it's another thing to create what I would consider an early access battle pass in the hopes of bribing people to stick around long term. It just doesn't make any sense that the devs would be allocated to spend time creating all of this when the game runs like this. With each update, Torn Banner has acknowledged the bugs and poor optimization, but instead of pulling all hands on deck to fix this, they make gloves and badges and patterns and...
Folks ain't gonna keep being patient with you. That early access game that took players by storm, and when it came out it was like, yeah, I love zombies, but it couldn't run. That was all cool, but we give that grace to young games. Big dog, you're supposed to be fun, but your player count is none. I bet you better start doing your job.
Okay. With everything I had to say in this video, do I think No More Room in Hell 2 is ready for a 1.0 release in a few months? No. It was clear upon playing this game for the first time, all the way back in 2024, that this game was nowhere near ready to be shown to the public. With 100 times more bugs than actual maps, this long-awaited sequel wasn't justified to be sold at $30, and within the year and a half since, I still do not believe that this is ready for a release, nor is it set at a justifiable price. This game is simply too unpolished and lacking in notable content at the current state it is in, and I do not believe that these new features promised by Torn Banner will make it significantly better. I do like 90% of what Torn Banner has advertised in this blog post, don't get me wrong, but with the past updates sometimes creating more bugs than removing them, I simply cannot believe that this is ready to be released in a finished state anytime soon. Some of you watching this might think I'm too hard on this game. I do read my comments, and I do see when people make the point that an early access game should be criticized less because it's in early access. However, I think that point does not make any sense. If a game is being marketed, if it's being put up for sale, and if it costs money just like any other fully released game, then it has the right to be criticized just like any other fully released game. You wouldn't buy stuff from an author who sells you a book that's only half written, or a chef who sells you an uncooked steak, or a college professor who waits until semesters down the line to give out lectures, all because they said off the bat that it'll be ready sometime in the future. I've seen many games that have released in early access, like Core Keeper for example, that was playable and enjoyable off the bat. There are games that are not fully finished, but still be in a playable state. Contrary to popular belief, I do want No More Room in Hell 2 to be successful. I really do. As much as a train wreck is interesting to look at for people, the general audience would rather play something that they love for years on end, rather than laugh at something for a month at most. There is a lot of potential for this game, and that's why I keep returning to play it. And this isn't the first game, let alone the first zombie game, that has released poorly but has become a cult classic years down the line. Some perfect examples are 7 Days to Die, which has only recently moved to a 1.0 release a little while ago, as well as Project Zomboid, a game I cherish and yet is also in early access. From what I've seen with Torn Banner releasing blog posts and developers talking about the game within their Discord server, these people are definitely passionate and wanting to create something meaningful to play, and I support them and wish them the best. So with that, I hope in the foreseeable future that this video is just outdated and proven wrong. I hope the things that I've bitched about in the past however so many minutes don't exist anymore, and I hope No More Room in Hell 2 becomes a good game that we can all enjoy, but it's just simply not that at this moment. With that said though, I'm gonna end this video here. What do you all think about No More Room in Hell 2? Does it have potential to release at a good 1.0 state? Do you think it needs more development time? Or do you think this game is just dead in the water? Please let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you guys like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Little side note here, but my next video is undoubtedly the Dying Light video. It's taking me a hot minute to put that all together into something that I fully envision, and I know it's going to be a long video, most likely longer than my Dead Island videos. So I just wanted to make this video as a reminder that I do exist and I am still making content. But with that said, I won't keep you guys any longer. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye for now.